So, Jason, welcome to the Crypto Princess channel. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well. Thanks for having me on.
So we're going to get into your crypto story. It's a fantastic story. I can't wait to tell it. But just before we do, if I was to meet you in high school, what kind of person were you?
I was a total weirdo in high school. So I had extremely long hair down past my nipples. I all I cared about in high school actually was music, and I wanted to be in a band. And all I did was practice guitar. Like that's all I cared about. Um, in fact, I'm pretty sure, yeah, my girlfriend at the time, it was her birthday, and I told her, I'd rather practice guitar than hang out with you on your birthday. She broke up with me. But
I'm not
I was
surprised.
a total loser. I had no friends. Just only cared about like guitar.
Guitar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Justin, you've done a lot between high school and 2016 when you first got into crypto. So when you first got into crypto, Justin, you were very, very early, 2016. Bitcoin was only 7 years old. The low for Bitcoin that year was just under 400 US dollars, and the high for Bitcoin that year was just under 1,000 US dollars. It was a halving year, meaning the next year we had the parabolic 2017 bull run, and we'll come to that bull run in a moment. But Justin, how did you find out about Bitcoin?
Well, I'd heard about it going back, I guess, to 2014-ish. But 2016 is really when I realized what it was fundamentally. I'd always been, I guess, a bit of like a conspiracy theorist, so to speak. Whatever you think about that term. But I understood. Like I read books like Creature from Jekyll Island, and
Mhm.
I understood the Federal Reserve and how it's just a giant Ponzi scheme to steal everyone's money. So I was always looking for ways to preserve my purchasing power. I don't want to hold on to this cash that I'm working so hard for just to have the value completely disintegrate in a few decades, right? Potentially, who knows if the dollar's going to be a thing in 20 years. So I was into gold, I was into silver, and when I realized Bitcoin is like digital gold, digital silver in a lot of ways, and when I realized the value of it in our modern technological age, I got very interested, very very interested, maybe a little too interested. I had that naive kind of bullish mindset at the time.
So, did somebody tell you about Bitcoin, or is it something that you heard on the news?
I was listening to a podcast. I forget what podcast it was, but they had a guest on, and he was basically just diving into what is Bitcoin, and he was very bullish. He was super bullish. He said, this thing's going to $1 million per coin, and I was sold. Like I went home right away. I was at the gym when I heard the podcast. I went home, and my wife and I had been saving up for like a property,
Mhm.
and I told her I think we should put everything we've been working for the past few years and put it into Bitcoin. And she said she was like, okay.
Oh, she
So
did. Oh my
yeah, she
gosh,
did.
that's so surprising.
Which is why I took that as a sign, like the Lord guiding me, because usually if I have some kind of crazy impulsive, I'm a very impulsive person. Like I just do stuff, and if there's a problem, I'll figure it out as I go. And she's like the more responsible one, like Jayson, take some time, think about it. Here's what could go wrong. None of that. She just said, all right. So that's what we did. We took like I forget the exact amount. It was probably around $45,000. We just put it all into Bitcoin in the summer-ish time of 2016. So it was right around like $600-700 at the time.
That is so brave, Justin. That is really, really brave. What did the rest of your family and your friends think about this move?
Well, I'll tell you this: my accountant thought I was a nut, and I probably am. Like, let's be honest. Um, because my wife had been a public school teacher for 7 years, and she was quitting her job, and she was going to withdraw her 401k early so that we could put the money into Bitcoin. And he sat me down. He had his other business partner come in and sit me down and say, think about your kids, think about your future. And I said, no, this is what I want to do. Trust me. And they looked at me, and of course they didn't trust me. Like I'm an idiot, right? Um, but my family, they didn't really I mean, a lot of them didn't know,
Mm,
but they probably said, "Hey, let him do his thing." I mean, in reality, when you're like in your young 20s and don't have kids and you don't own anything, I mean, who cares if you lose it all? You just get it back. You got the time. I mean, if the Lord allows, you know.
mhm. So who supported you? Did anybody support you, or how did you learn about Bitcoin after listening to that original podcast?
Just YouTube and stuff like that. Your basic good old research,
Mhm. 2016, that's so early. How did you actually
yeah.
buy it? How did you buy
On
it?
Coinbase.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Okay, awesome. So let's look at 2017 now. So 2017, Bitcoin's second bull run. The price in 2017 was from the lows was around about 1,000 US dollars, and at the highs it was just under 20,000 US dollars. It was a crazy bull run. It started off quite slow, but it kind of just went up. There was a lot of pullbacks, but you held and you had all your conviction in the 2017 bull run. Were you expecting 2017 to turn out how it did?
No. No, I wasn't. And when we put all this money into Bitcoin, it was more so like with the understanding that this is more of like a hedge against inflation. It wasn't necessarily we weren't necessarily expecting to be able to buy a property, which we ended up doing. Um, so yeah, as it was going up, I was just feeling smart about myself. When we were looking at that account that we had that was like $45,000, and it's going up and up and up, and it's hundreds of thousands. It's like, wow, like I was feeling pretty smart at the time, and yeah, it was definitely not expected. I remember when Bitcoin hit 3,000, that was a big milestone.
Mhm.
Um, I remember 5,000, that was crazy. It was wild. It was wild. Like that, it's just something that you never thought could be possible, right?
Mhm. So, Justin, how did you play the 2017 bull run? When did you start to take profits?
Well, it was really when Bitcoin started to hit $10,000 because I'm holding this and I'm just looking at the amount of money in the account, and I don't know, my brain works in a certain way where like when I see you know $250,000 in my mind, I'm thinking this is a house, you know. At least it was back then, which is crazy. But so I'm starting to think in this way as I'm seeing this number. Like I'm not married to the number. I'm not married to the money. Like for me, like I have real life goals and desires and things that I actually want to do in life, not just watch a money go up. You know. So as I'm looking at this, I'm starting to like look at like properties out in the country where my wife and I had always wanted to be homesteaders, which is like just like a little farm on your own property where you can grow food and raise animals and be more self-sufficient. And so I'm seeing this account go up, and that's where my mind is going. I'm on Zillow, which is like a real estate website, looking at properties, thinking, man, I could get this right now, you know? And so that's when I started to take profits at 10,000. I remember thinking to myself, this is insane. This is too crazy. And then I also vividly remember a week after Bitcoin hit 10,000, it went up to 20,000, like almost that. And I remember I was at the gym. I'm always at the gym, I guess, when I'm listening to Bitcoin stuff. I got a notification from Coinbase. It was like 19,000. I just immediately went home to sell because this is even in my naivety, it's like this is ridiculous. Like this is like fake. This isn't real life. If I don't take advantage of this now, I don't even care if it keeps going up. I want to buy a little farm. Like I want to get out of the city and get the heck out of here and like start, cuddling with my chickens in the chicken coop. So
We're going to come back and we'll talk about the property that you bought later. So you played it really, really well, especially as a first-time investor. Most people first time when they invest into Bitcoin, they don't really understand the 4-year cycle and they tend to round trip their bags. So really well done on that. Um, so obviously after Bitcoin hit just under 20,000 US dollars in the December, you literally got the top. It slid into a bear market. Did you know the difference between a bull market and a bear market?
No, not at the time. I was very naive. Like the fact that I bought so low, I look at this whole thing as the Lord's hand, like on my, on my own ignorance. Like he just allowed it to work out because um, it was just like I did everything right, but in hindsight, I didn't do it right because I knew what I was doing. So I didn't know about bull and bear markets. I just knew, okay, I'm going to take this amount of money because I have something I want to do.
And it was in the bear market. It was in, I think, was it 2028 when you started to trade? How did you get into trading?
Yeah, so the trading aspect came in the bear market in 2018 when I was listening more to like financial podcasts and different people who were trading stocks and investing and swing trading and stuff like that. And I realized like, okay, there's opportunity to make money in markets no matter what's happening like in the world. If you know what you're doing, you can make money as long as price is changing on a day-to-day or a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. So that kind of led me down the road of wanting to learn how to do this because, I always, ever since I was in high school, my goal was how can I not have a job? Like it's the laziness mentality. How can I not have a job? All my friends are getting jobs. And I'm sitting there thinking, there has to be a way to make money without having a job. Like, I'm not trying to go work at McDonald's over here, So that to me was just another opportunity on top of like, I was already a business owner at the time, which isn't a job, right? Business is not a job in my mind.
Okay.
I don't know if you feel the same way.
Oh no, mine is definitely a job. Like
Oh,
I'm
really?
like
Okay.
14 hours a day.
Okay. All right.
So what business, do you mind me asking what business you had?
We were doing like web design and online marketing basically for other businesses at the time.
Awesome. And was that a family business with you and your wife then?
It was my brother, my dad. Yeah, it was a family business.
Okay, awesome. And what type of trading did you start to do?
So I was just looking into like at the time like basic swing trading with like stocks, and then I migrated over to forex because forex allowed you to like short the market, which was enticing to me because then it really doesn't matter what's happening. Like as long as something's moving up or down, there's an opportunity to make money.
And were you spot or futures?
Well, with forex, I guess everything's like futures. I suppose like everything's on margin, right? So it's not like you're buying like the Great Britain pound or whatever. You're just betting against it or for it or whatever against the dollar or whatever trading pair you're trading.
Okay, so you got into trading in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
So let's talk about 2020. So 2020 pandemic hits. Once in a lifetime pandemic, people are dying everywhere, businesses are closing. There's so much uncertainty. Nobody knows what's happening. There's a lot of conspiracies. There's a lot of uncertainty. Bitcoin took a hit, especially in in March 2020, when it fell from 9,200 to 3,800 in the space of just a couple of weeks. It was a massive dip, a massive correction, one of the worst in Bitcoin's history. It did do a reshaped recovery. In 2020, did you give up on cryptocurrency?
No, I didn't really. I didn't really think about giving up. I mean, in 2020, my focus became, the homestead. Like I really stepped up everything when it came to like production of my food and my gardens and getting all that stuff good to go. That was my main focus of 2020. And one of those focuses was really taking my trading much more seriously than I had the past 2 years. I've been trading crypto like exclusively since probably like, I don't know, 2019, basically, no more Forex, because I still had some capital left over from holding the Bitcoin from 2017. I still had some Bitcoin left over. So I was using that to trade. And so, yeah, I was mostly just focused on trading. I wasn't really thinking about buying Bitcoin, although I should have. I was mostly just focused on like learning how to trade and systematize this thing so I could just, make a little money here and there to pay what I had to pay for and support my family.
Let's talk about your homestead now. Tell me about it. It sounds so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing too crazy. Like, it's just, we have a lot of gardens. I'm looking out the window now. We got fruit trees. We've got, a barn, chickens, all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, really, so the reason for the homestead is, the more you go down the road of realizing that, the money is unstable and the economy is unstable, you start to realize society in general is very unstable, especially if you're like in an urban area. I mean, there's a 3-day food supply in, in the city. And if something happens to the supply chain, you're screwed. And then you think about the water, you're relying on the government and municipalities to filter and pump your water into your house. It's like, this is not very sustainable. I want to live a lifestyle where there's as few things to enslave me as possible. Like, if you're a slave to your water, if you're a slave to the food supply, if you're a slave to the grocery store, that's not a very good position, in my opinion, to be in. So, I want to get out of that system as much as possible. Obviously, no one can get out of it totally unless you're like a hunter-gatherer somewhere, totally outside of modern society, or you grew up in a community that lives that way. But yeah, that was the goal. So, I love to do it. I really think that there's a big aspect of our humanity that's been lost by our modern societies. I mean, when you think about the fact that, for all recorded history, people live together in communities and they work together to produce their own sustenance within that community setting. And then literally, I'd say within the last 75 years, that infrastructure that's carried humanity through for thousands of years has been completely destroyed, to the point where, we're not even in person to have this conversation.
Yes.
We work on screens and desks, and we're so far removed from, where food comes from. We're removed from our humanity, right? God created man in his own image, and he put them in a garden to work and guard the garden to reflect his glory on earth. And, we're so far removed from that. And when I'm out there on the homestead, I'll tell you, I feel connected to God. I feel connected to my humanity in a sense where, like, this is kind of what I was created to do. I'm not created to be here on a screen and watch the numbers go up. I'm created to go do stuff. That's why I have a physical body.
Mm, mm. And how about the family? I bet the kids love the chickens. Is that all you've got? Is that the livestock you have, just chickens?
Yeah, right now we've only got chickens. So we've gone up and down the goats road a few times, and we're gonna have them again. It's just like, it's so I didn't expect to be so busy with all this YouTube stuff, right?
Mhm.
And there's only so many things I can do at one time. And so one of the struggles is balancing everything, I'll tell you, but
Mhm.
we have a place for the goats. We have a beautiful barn out there.
Awesome. No, it sounds so interesting. I quite like that lifestyle, if I'm completely honest. I don't know if I'd be brave enough to do it, because I'm like, well, what happens if I get sick? Who will look after the animals, etc. But I'm really happy that your wife's so supportive as well in all of this, and your kids love it. Let's talk about 2021. So in 2022, you're basically trading. You didn't really buy Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies for investments. Is that correct?
No, actually, in 2022, I
Oh, sorry, 2020. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I keep saying 2022. In
that's okay.
2020 COVID year.
Yeah, I wasn't buying Bitcoin. I was just focused on like, how am I gonna survive? Like I'd always, my backup plan B was to be like a garbage man or a toll booth worker, and I'm seeing everything shut down, everything become more automated. I'm like, man, I got to figure something else out.
Hmm. Okay, awesome. Now, 2021 really changed everything for you.
Right.
You started up your YouTube channel, you met Crypto Face, you met Bitboy. Tell me what happened in 2021.
Yeah. So I've been trading like using an indicator called Market Cipher
Hmm.
for like quite some time. Following a guy called Crypto Face. He was into like trading bots and stuff like that in the beginning, and then he started like using all these different indicators together, and then he like had his own indicator called Market Cipher. And I've been using that to trade based on like my prior trading experience. I kind of developed some strategies with that. And in 2021, in January, Bitboy Crypto, the YouTube channel, dropped a video promoting Market Cipher. And I watched the video. I was driving home, driving and watching YouTube, not recommended, but I'm pretty sure more of us have done it than we like to admit.
Yeah.
Um, So like, you put it on the dashboard in front of the speedometer so the cops can't see. But I was listening to this video, and my thoughts after watching were, man, there's going to be a lot of people buying Market Cipher right now, and a lot of people are going to start getting wrecked because
Mhm.
it's not as simple as just, long when you see a green dot. Like it could work sometimes, but in general, you're going to get wrecked, right? So me with a search engine optimization background, I'm always looking out for doorways into opportunity, right? That's kind of what I did when I was, way back in high school, when we were doing WordPress blogs to affiliate market with other products. You look for, what's there a lot of search volume for and very few results. So for me, I knew, being a user of Market Cipher, there's not a lot of good tutorials out there on how to actually use this. So I looked at this as an opportunity for me to start making YouTube content on how I use Market Cipher to affiliate with Market Cipher to make some money on the side. Because I think Market Cipher at the time, they were doing like 15% commission, which is great. I mean, if you're an affiliate marketer. So that's kind of what I started doing. And, thankfully, it worked out. Like my channel blew up like tens of thousands of subscribers in, a few months.
Tell me about meeting Crypto Face.
Um, well, I never actually met Crypto Face like in the flesh, but word got around that there's this guy on YouTube who was like using Market Cipher, and one day he just had me on his YouTube channel, and that was pretty cool, because he was a much much bigger channel, still is, and that gave me a big audience for growing the YouTube channel, and it also gave me more credibility as somebody who like knows what he's talking about.
And you also met Bitboy?
Yeah, so I also ended up on doing an interview with Ben Armstrong, which was one of the best things I think that ever happened for me as far as like the business aspect of this goes. Um, he had me on his channel, and he basically gave me a press conference like for myself. He like introduced me as like this trading expert who like knows all this stuff with his strategies, and um, so yeah, that to me was a big turning point in not my trading, but this as a business, like the Jayson Casper like brand, because basically I had a channel with 700, 3/4 million subs. Um, you know, uh, promoting me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So shout out to Ben Armstrong, man. He didn't have to do that, but he did that.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So when you first started, it must have been there must have been a lot of pressure on you. You're live trading now in front of a lot of people. What was that like?
You know what? There wasn't ever really a lot of pressure. Like in the beginning, I never actually showed my positions. Like I would show the percent. Um, and at first I was I felt like it's pointless to show, because who cares about the money? It's about the analysis, it's about the moves and all that kind of stuff. And then later on, I started to show it purely for the sake of just YouTube sensationalism. All right, like I was doing experiments. How can I get more views? How can I get more this and that? And showing the trades, it's pretty interesting actually to watch. If you look at the live viewers during your stream, if you have an open trade on the screen, the viewers are going to go up. If you turn it away and go to like trading view, the viewers will go down.
Oh gosh, okay.
So
Okay.
that's when I started showing the stuff. But for me, it's really not a lot of pressure. Like I've gotten liquidated on stream. I've taken losses on stream. I've made a lot of money on stream. I've lost money on stream. It's not any pressure for me at all. It's really not, because although I like to be sensational on YouTube, I sometimes my eyes just pop out of the dang sockets when I see those charts. You know what I'm saying? But the trades I take, they're very calculated. The risk is very calculated.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I'm losing money, it's not like I'm taking a hit in my life. It's just part of the game. Taking losses. Any trader will tell you that.
Mm-hmm. And you've had open positions on your trades over the years. What's been your largest position?
The most money I ever had in a trade at one time on a live stream was about $900,000.
Okay. That's just literally just shy of $1 million.
Yeah, I wish it was $1 million, but I've never actually shown a position more than that live. But maybe someday I will, right? I don't think anytime soon. I'm not in that mindset right now. I got to really be in the zone for that kind of stuff.
And how did that go? How did that position go?
I don't remember. Actually, it probably got stopped out in profit. I mean, the way I trade is I don't know if you probably don't have time to watch my super long, obnoxious streams, but
I've seen them.
the way I trade is I typically get into a position, I book a profit, and then I just let it ride to either continue to make money on it or get stopped out in profit. That's the way I do it. Like yesterday, I was in a short trade, for example, as we were pumping. I already made 16 grand on the trade.
Oh yes.
And it got stopped out. It got stopped out. And people are like, why are you still short? Why are you short? Why are you short? It's just how I trade. I already made 16 grand on it. I think I ended up making just shy of 15 grand after the stop loss and the fees and all that. It's like I don't once I make money on the trade, I consider the trade closed and I let a portion run, mostly for psychological purposes.
And what about your risk management?
Yeah, so risk management is probably the most important aspect of trading, period. Essentially, what you're doing is you're making sure, like, let's say you have $100, make sure you're only ever risking $1. And you're only ever looking to make at least 3, let's just say 2 or 3 at least. So every trade you take, you're risking 1 to make 2 or to make 3, or really, hopefully, the good trade setups, you're risking 1 to make like 5 or 6. So that's for me is like, that was the main thing I think that really changed me from being a gambler to a trader, was understanding risk management, understanding that even if you suck at trading, if you set it up in a way where you're always risking very little, right? You're never going to blow your account in one trade. You're never going to take a 25% hit, right? And you trust your analysis. You understand, okay, I could take 3 losses in a row and be down 3 out of my 100. And then that fourth trade, let's say, I make 5. I'm still in a small profit with a 75% loss rate.
One thing that I really like when I watch your shows is, 1, they're entertaining. And 2, you also give a lot of education. It's not just about this and that and then play some music. You're always talking, you're always giving a lot of yourself. You've got a really, really good community. You've got an absolutely lovely community. Tell me about your community.
The Casper crew, the best trading community in the world. Yeah, I just think that, especially during the bear market, when it comes to traders, the ones that are really serious about doing it aren't just there to like make money on fart coin. Are
Hmm.
they really band together, and people make good friendships and stuff like that. And also, like, I really try and keep the community like a positive place. Like, I don't allow profanity. Um, you know, a lot of us are we fear God, um, and things like that. So I guess like a lot of like mindedness in the community, not a lot of riffraff in there. You always got your people coming through,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
yeah, in general, I'd say a lot of people, anybody on YouTube, you tend to attract, what you are into, right? So for me, like, I'm a follower of Jesus. Yeah, I'm all about like a more natural, holistic lifestyle, a family man and stuff like that. So you kind of attract that, not carbon copy, but in general, that kind of, vibe in your community. So it's
Hmm.
nice.
Let's talk about family now. You've got children. Do they ever, first of all, how old are they? Tell me about your children.
Oh man. So I have a 6-year-old girl. She's
Oh,
6.5. I got a 3-year-old son who will be 4 in 2 months, and I have a son who's going to be 1 in 4 days.
oh my God, that's so cute. Does a 6-year-old know what daddy does? Does she ever watch daddy?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh, that is so, so
yeah. They
cute.
know.
And what about family nowadays? Do they know that you're quite successful, well, very, very successful on YouTube, and that you're, do they ever come for you for advice, etc.?
No, not really. No. They don't come for advice. I honestly, I don't know what like a lot of my family knows. They either think I'm like hopelessly in debt, or I'm doing pretty well. I mean, those are probably the only two options. You know. Yeah, yeah. I don't really. I mean, my parents know. My wife's parents know. But everyone else, no, not really. I mean, I'm just same old Jayson Casper. Don't have a job, but I'm out there on the homestead.
Oh, bless. So Jason, let's talk about, well, 2022 passed, 2023 passed. Let's talk about last year, 2024. How was last year for you?
It was amazing. So this past bull run was just absolutely amazing for me in many ways. I had I'd worked really hard in the bear market, accumulating Bitcoin. I had some major setbacks as well. Um, and then in 2022, I put a lot of money into Bitcoin, irresponsible amount, and obviously it pumped like crazy. So I'm mostly out of my spot Bitcoin right now.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people think that's dumb, but I'm 60% out of my spot Bitcoin. So even if we go to 200,000, I've already made money. And then my trading from the fall of 2023 um, until I guess, you know, December of 2024 has been by far the most profitable I've ever been as a trader. It's just been insane. Like I never thought I would see that kind of money from trading. It's just been crazy. So it's been the past 2 years, 3 years have been absolutely. I mean, as far as like success goes, however you want success, meaning like with money and trading and business, has been by far the best in my life. It's been crazy.
So would you say you're a natural mathematician?
No,
How are you so good then? You're amazing.
it has nothing to do with math. Thank God. Yeah, it has nothing to do with math. I mean, you have tools to do the math for you, right? So, if I didn't have a computer, I wouldn't be able to do this. There's no way I'd be able to calculate my Fibonacci retracement percentages with a pencil and paper. you know.
Yeah. So let's talk about 2025 now. This is not the sort of bull run that I was expecting. it's been a bit slow in coming. But how has it been for you? How's 2025 been for you?
Well, to be totally honest with you, 2025 has probably been like one of the worst years of my life. Like, um, I've had so many hard things happen to me in just the last few months. Um, I haven't really been trading very much. Yeah, I take a few trades here and there, but in general, not really. It's been a really weird season for me and my family. So yeah, it's just after 2023 and 2024, 2025 has been pretty lame so far. But it's just a season, so we'll see if things change. I mean, as far as like the bull run goes or whatever, there hasn't really been much volatility since January, I suppose. So I'm just kind of waiting it out to see what happens next. I'm as far as the bull run goes, where we're bouncing from right now, this 70-ish $1,000 zone, I call it the danger zone. We're either going to moonshot from here and make a new high, or we're going to lose the level and perhaps the top could have been in. I hope not, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at it here. Because once we lose 70,000, we're definitely changing structure on like the monthly, which is not a joke.
You've recently had to take some time off. What was that for?
Just personal things going on.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Tell me about the 4-year cycle. Are you a firm believer in the 4-year cycle?
So right now I'll say yes. So here's the thing. This cycle has been different than pretty much all previous cycles, in the sense that we hit an all-time high before the halving, which has never happened before. And the other thing that happened, which that didn't happen, which has happened every other time, was a major retracement from the 618 Fibonacci in kind of like a bear market relief rally, which gave us a double bottom into the major thrust of the bull market. So we're typically looking at a pretty significant move to the downside, like 50% correction before the halving from the macro 618 Fibonacci retracement before the big parabolic pump and the new all-time high. This time, we got like a 20% correction from the 618 Fibonacci and then a new all-time high before the halving. So this time actually is different. So I'm going to say yes. I still believe in the 4-year cycle for now. There's people out there saying the cycle is broken. And there's a good case for that, considering we've never seen, such institutional adoption of Bitcoin, like BlackRock and ETFs and all this. So right now, I'm going to have to say I'm still a believer in the 4-year cycle until the 4-year cycle stops doing its thing. And so far, we are seeing a few signs that it's going to stop doing its thing, even though, it is based mostly on the Bitcoin mining difficulty and all this, and the halving. We'll kind of see what happens, right? One of the things that I'm a big proponent of is, I know this sounds so ridiculous, but, for the past 3 market cycles, I was able to do very well simply just by selling when it's hard and buying when it's hard. So I think that no matter what happens, if you're into crypto, when things are looking very gloomy and China's banning Bitcoin and it's bad for the environment and there's a lot of bearish fundamentals and the chart looks very bearish, that's a time where if you're buying, you're not going to be buying the top. And then when we're hitting new all-time highs and everyone's bullish, calling for higher, if you're selling, you're not selling the bottom, right? Like I sold it at 60K, 80K, and 100K. Those were 3 targets I had to sell. It's like, I know that I'm making money doing this no matter what anyone else says, because, when I was buying my Bitcoin and everyone, including myself, was expecting lower, to be honest, I knew I wasn't buying the top. I knew I was going to be in profit, and selling at 80K, it's like, I know I'm making money doing it. So I think people, they try and overcomplicate things too much with these cycles and things, as opposed to just taking a few steps back, um, understanding there are certain places like after a major bull market in a bear market where, historically speaking, these are like the areas to be buying. Um, I feel like people lose sight of that, and it's pretty inevitable. I mean, every single time, I cannot tell you how many people December, January were hitting me up asking if they should get into crypto. They kind of forgot about it after 2021,
Mhm.
and now they're thinking they should get back in just to make a quick money up to 120,000. And it's like, bro, like it might work out for you, but you might be buying the top, you know? Like that's the thing about the 4-year cycle. Like, are we going to keep going for a little bit more? Maybe. But if you're relying on like a maybe to make money, that's not the right way to do it, in my opinion.
That's something I really like about you because I've seen your live streams and you really give very good advice. You're on the treadmill now, and when you're doing your live streams, you're on the treadmill. Tell
Yeah.
me, why is that? Oh, I know when we mentioned the plunger as well.
Yeah, the treadmill is simply just because I like to stay active. I like to stay fit, and a desk job and fitness do not go well together. Let's just put it that way. And I have found that if you get at least 10,000 steps in a day, you just feel better. You have more energy. You're leaner. Your digestion is better. Your sleep is better. Everything's better, right? And so I decided, well, if I'm going to be at a desk all day, I might as well slowly walk. I mean, humans were not created to sit at a desk all day. We were created to like be on our feet and do stuff. So for me, it's the ultimate life hack because I love to eat. I just love food in general. And it's hard for me to stay lean if I'm sitting all day, right? But if I'm walking while I'm trading, I could pretty much just eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and maintain like a lean body, a comfortable body that feels good, you know? And
Mhm.
so it's the ultimate life hack. I mean, I think everyone should do it. I think everyone should do it. At first, I was hesitant to stream doing it, and I said, who cares? Who cares? I just don't care.
And let's talk about the plunger, because when I said to my community I'm going to be interviewing Jayson Casper, they were like, "What's up with the plunger?"
The plunger, yeah. So pretty much every prop I use here on the Jayson Casper YouTube channel, like the Pikachu hat and the plunger, are just random things I've acquired. So what happened was we had one of those plungers. I don't know what it's like in the UK. All right, I have no idea about the bathroom habits of people in other countries, but over here in the United States, we have these types of plungers where, like, right around this part of the plunger here, there's like a lip, and the lip, it traps like water in there and whatever else might be in the water if you have to use the plunger because your kid put the whole roll of toilet paper in the toilet and you got to use the plunger to fix it or whatever. And it gets trapped in the plunger, and it's the most disgusting thing. I don't know why they make plungers like that, right? It's disgusting. All right, I'm not going to go into too much detail. So I told my wife, I said, wife, we need some different kind of plungers in this house. And she's like, all right. And so we both purchased the kind of plunger that doesn't have a lip here where the water would get trapped. And we didn't know the other person had bought the plunger, so we ended up with two. And we didn't need to. So my wife said, well, what do you want to do with this other plunger? And I said, I don't know. I'll just give it to me. So I put it right here on my desk. And that's where it's been ever since.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, so it's just storage.
it's
Yeah.
just storage, Maybe I might need it someday, but it does help with the trading for sure.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, and what's next for Jayson?
Whatever the Lord wants me to do, whatever he wants me to do, I will do. I don't know, really. I don't, I know people say this is the wrong mindset to have, but I really don't have any goals. Um, I don't. So I don't know. Right now, I'm just doing what I'm doing. Um, I'm trying my best to be more balanced in life, to spend more time with my family, spend more time with God, just to enjoy the blessings in life and not get so trapped on the treadmill, literally and figuratively, because it's very easy to do. It's very easy to work, and then all of a sudden, you're 35 and your kids are 6 years old, and you're like, where does all the time go? You know, so yeah, I don't have any real major goals, and I never really have either. Like, I never like set out to be like a crypto millionaire or anything like that. It just kind of happened that way, and it's a blessing, you know. But like I said, whatever God calls me to do, I will do it. That's really where I am right now in my life.
Mm.
So it
One
might be
thing,
something totally unrelated.
one thing that I really like about you, because we've been in DMs and stuff, is um, you don't have much of an ego. You're genuinely a really, really nice person. How much of that is that part of your religion? Is that something that
Um,
that's come into your life through your religion?
uh, yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, definitely. I mean, my relationship with God for me is the most important thing in my life. So, as with all of us, we have to understand that all of us are completely undeserving of anything, and any good thing we have, it just comes from God's hand and His mercy towards us, His grace, His covenant faithfulness. It's just something that's so magnificent that it really puts you in your place. Um, to realize, like, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm dust. I'm dust. And in an instant, I could be gone. Right. Um, so there's definitely an aspect of that. Um, but in general, I've never had the ability to take myself seriously. Like, I've always been like a clown, a class clown. I just could never take it too seriously, you know. Um, yeah, so I guess there's an aspect of both there. But
Hmm.
I look at everything that I have as just part of God's plan for something specific that He has for me to do, whether I fully realize that or not, right? And I also realize that He's the owner of of everything. Um, he owns everything. So anything that I have or anything that I've accomplished has been allotted to me by Him. So how could I how could I say, by my own strength and my own intellect that I've acquired these things, when really, when I look at the history of my own life and like the choices I made in the past, um, I haven't done anything special to achieve anything in my life. I recognize it's 100% from God, and I got to do my part by like showing up and putting in the work. But there's a lot of people who show up and put in the work, and they don't have the same result, right?
Hmm.
So I always am reminded of this scripture verse in the Bible, which it really, I'd say this scripture puts me in my place all the time. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bible at all, but
I've read it.
okay. It says in Philippians 2, it says, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature was God. He did not consider equality with God to be something to be used to his own advantage, but instead he made himself nothing. He took on the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. So God, our creator, even though, he owns everything, he created everything, he himself has that aspect of humility where he became in the form of a man and humbled himself to the most excruciating and humiliating death. And he did it out of complete love and selflessness. He did it for our sake. And so whenever I read that scripture, that really puts me in my place. Like, if that's the heart of God toward his creation, that kind of selfless love and laying down your own self and your own desires for the sake of others, it's like, who the heck am I to feel that I'm anything special or that I deserve anything more than anybody else, you know?
You're so sweet, Justin. You really, really are. You're really, really sweet. I love that. Justin, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your crypto journey. It was lovely to learn it.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Crypto Princess. And I've had to try my very best not to try and speak with a UK accent myself.
Are you like a sponge? Whoever you talk to, you kind of like pick up their vibes?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, I try sometimes to use the accent, but I don't know if it's actually that good.
Go on then.
Well, what do you think? If you just met me for the first time, would you think I was actually from the UK or not really?
That's more sort of up northish. I'm
That's
quite
where I'm
down.
from.
Oh, are you? Oh no. Oh
From the
my
north,
God,
yeah.
really?
Absolutely.
Where about?
Well, now you caught me as a fake because I don't know my geography.
Okay, so you're not.
No, I
Oh
don't
my
know.
God.
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Oh
I
my
did
God.
used to have a job though at a mall at Starbucks, and a lot of people from the UK would take a flight into the mall, and I would talk like that, and they say, "Oh, what part of the UK are you from?" And I say, "I'm just joking," and they say, "Ah, pretty good."
That is really, really good. That really is. You actually had me.
You
You had
really mean that, or are you just
you
joking?
know, seriously, you had me.
All
You
right,
did.
oof, man,
I was
that's
like,
a
oh,
good ego boost right there.
awesome. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Justin.
All right, Crypto Princess, thank you, I appreciate it.